Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. It was just another regular day in my quiet suburban life. My alarm went off at 6, waking me from a deep sleep. I went through my usual morning routine, splashing water on my face, brushing my teeth, and combing my hair. I did these things automatically after so many years. When I looked in the mirror, I saw the wrinkles around my eyes and the gray in my hair. At 35, I was already seeing signs of aging. With a tired sigh, I put on my usual khakis and a button-down shirt, nothing fancy, just comfortable for my job as a consultant. Downstairs, I smelled freshly brewed coffee. My wife, Rachel, who I've been married to for 10 years, was already in the kitchen, looking distracted. I kissed her cheek as I walked to the coffee pot. "Morning," she replied absent-mindedly, focused on her phone. I frowned as I poured my coffee. Rachel often seemed distracted lately, always on her phone. I tried to convince myself it was just stress from her job. Soon, our kids, Emma and Noah, filled the kitchen with their laughter and chatter. I forced a smile, determined not to let Rachel's strange behavior ruin our morning. As I sipped my coffee and listened to the kids talk about their dreams from the night before, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Rachel barely acknowledged their animated stories, her attention still glued to her phone screen. "Everything okay, Rach?" I ventured, reaching out to squeeze her shoulder gently. She startled, her eyes finally meeting mine with a deer in the headlights expression. Yeah, everything's fine," she assured me, forcing a tight smile. "Just a lot on my mind at work." I nodded, deciding not to press the issue further. After all, we all had our moments of stress and preoccupation. Little did I know the truth behind Rachel's behavior was far more insidious than I could have ever imagined. The rest of the day passed by in a blur. Errands, shuttling the kids to and from their activities. It wasn't until later that evening, as I was preparing dinner, that Rachel approached me with an unexpected request. "Hey, Alex, I need to schedule an appointment to get my wisdom tooth removed," she said, her tone hesitant. "Would you be able to take the day off to drive me there and back? I don't think I'll be in any condition to drive myself afterward." I quirked an eyebrow, surprised by her request, but willing to accommodate. "Of course, Anne. Just let me know when and where, and I'll make sure to clear my schedule." Relief washed over her features, and she offered me a grateful smile. "Regard, sweetie. Thank you so much for that." When Rachel's wisdom tooth extraction date finally arrived, I dutifully skipped work in the morning to take her to the dentist. She seemed unusually quiet as we got comfortable in the car. Her eyes were focused on the window. "Uneasy, indeed?" I inquired, trying to break the tension with a comforting grin. She jumped slightly as if startled out of deep thought. "No, not really. Just preoccupied, I guess." I nodded and decided not to ask any more questions. The drive was quiet and relaxing, with the engine humming and the air conditioning softly whirring. At the dentist's office, Rachel was quickly taken to the exam room, and I waited in the lobby, flipping through a magazine. It felt like only a few minutes when a nurse came out and called me to the recovery room. "Your wife is doing just fine, Mr. Parker," she said with a warm smile. "The extraction went smoothly, but she's still a bit loopy from the anesthesia. You'll need to watch over her for the next few hours." I chuckled, picturing Rachel in a dazed post-operative state. "No problem. I'm sure she'll provide plenty of entertainment." Little did I know how prophetic those words would prove to be. Entering the recovery room, I found Rachel slumped in a reclining chair, her eyes half-lidded and her speech slurred. "Hey there, sleepyhead." I greeted her, unable to suppress a grin at her disheveled appearance. Her head lolled in my direction, and a dreamy smile spread across her face. "Hey, Ryan," she drawled, her words barely intelligible. I froze, my blood running cold. "Ryan? Who is Ryan?" Before I could process her words, Rachel continued, her voice taking on a sultry tone that sent shivers down my spine. "I love you so much, baby. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." My heart hammered against my rib cage as the implications of her words sank in. Is Ryan a lover? Was my wife having an affair? Swallowing hard, I forced myself to remain outwardly calm, even as my mind reeled. "What do you mean, Rachel?" "Ryan. Who is he?" She laughed, a sound that, in other circumstances, may have been pleasant, but which now sent a shiver down my spine. "Ryan, don't be so dumb. You are aware of who you are, my sweetheart. Everything about me." The truth struck me like a freight train, and it felt like the air in the room was being sucked out. I had spent 10 years of my life with my wife, but she had been unfaithful. Betrayal clawed at my insides, threatening to tear me apart from the inside out. Somehow I managed to maintain my composure, my mind already formulating a plan. I reached into my pocket and discreetly turned on the voice recording app on my phone, determined to record everything she said. "So, you've been having fun with Ryan, huh?" I asked casually. "Enjoying your little fling?" Rachel nodded eagerly, her eyes still glazed from the anesthesia. "Yes, he's so good to me, Alex, in ways you could never be." Her words felt like a knife to my heart, but I kept going, my jaw clenched in anger. "And you plan on continuing this affair?" "Of course," she exclaimed without hesitation. "I love him and he loves me. We're meant to be together." Bile rose in my throat as the gravity of her confession settled over me. My wife, the mother of my children, had not only betrayed me, but had fallen in love with another man, a man she intended to leave me for. In that moment, a part of me shattered. The idyllic life I had thought we shared crumbling to dust around me. Yet, even as my heart broke, a steely resolve took root within me. I would not let this injustice stand. With Rachel still babbling incoherently about her lover, I helped her into the car, my mind already formulating a plan for retribution. The ride home passed in a blur, her words fading into white noise as I focused on the road ahead, plotting my next move. As we pulled into the driveway, Rachel's eyelids drooped, and she drifted off into a drug-induced slumber. I watched her for a moment, taking in the peaceful expression on her face, an expression that belied the turmoil she had unleashed upon our family. Steeling my resolve, I carried her inside and settled her into bed, ensuring she was comfortable before retreating to the solitude of my home office. There, with trembling fingers, I replayed the damning recording. Her confession echoed through the tiny speaker like a death knell for our marriage. Tears stung my eyes, but I blinked them away, channeling my anguish into a burning determination. Rachel would not get away with this betrayal, not without facing the consequences of her actions. I spent the remainder of the day meticulously gathering evidence, scouring her phone and computer for any shred of proof to corroborate her drunken admission. Text messages, emails, even explicit photos, it was all there, a twisted tapestry of deceit, woven by the woman I had once trusted with my life. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the room, I sat back in my chair, a grim sense of satisfaction settling over me. I had everything I needed to expose Rachel's infidelity to the world, to her family, to her lover's unsuspecting wife. A bitter smile twisted my lips as I formulated my plan for retribution. It was a huge mistake for Rachel to think she could throw me away like yesterday's trash. Even if that meant setting our lives on fire, I would make sure she paid for her misdeeds. Over the next few days, I plotted my revenge with great care, my only thought being that I needed to get even. Rachel remained oblivious to my knowledge of her indiscretion, carrying on as if nothing had changed, a fact that only fueled my righteous fury. Finally, the chance I had been waiting for arrived, a lavish company gala hosted by Rachel's employer. I knew she would be there, probably with her lover, Ryan. Just thinking about them flaunting their affair made my blood boil, but I pushed down the anger and focused on my determination. "Hey, babe," Rachel said as she walked into the living room in an elegant evening gown. She looked stunning, but under different circumstances, it would have taken my breath away. "Are you ready to go?" I forced a tight smile and nodded as I buttoned my suit jacket. Of course, wouldn't miss it for the world. The drive to the venue was filled with tense silence, the unspoken truth weighing heavily between us. Rachel seemed unaware of the storm brewing inside me, her attention fixed on her phone as she typed away, likely exchanging messages with her lover. Upon our arrival, we were immediately swept up in the glitz and glamour of the event. Waiters circulated with trays of champagne. The air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume and even more expensive egos. I scanned the crowd, my gaze finally settling on a familiar figure, Ryan, the man who had single-handedly destroyed my marriage. He was standing across the room, his arm draped possessively around Rachel's waist as they laughed and mingled with their colleagues. The sight of them together, so openly intimate, made my stomach churn with disgust. "Excuse me for a moment, dear," I murmured to Rachel, pressing a kiss to her cheek that belied the fury simmering beneath the surface. I marched back toward the stage, not waiting for an answer, my gaze focused on the microphone stand in the middle. This was it, the occasion I had spent weeks painstakingly organizing. I removed the microphone from its stand with a fluid motion. The amplified feedback pierced the air, instantly grabbing the attention of everyone in the room. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice ringing out with a cool authority that surprised even me. "I apologize for the interruption, but I have a rather pressing matter to address." Rachel's eyes widened in confusion as she realized I was the source of the commotion, her brow furrowing in a silent question. I paid her no heed, instead fixing my gaze on Ryan, who had gone pale as a sheet. You see, it has come to my attention that 2 of our esteemed colleagues have been engaging in a sordid affair, I continued, relishing the collective gasp that rippled through the crowd. A betrayal of the highest order, not only to me, but to their respective spouses and families. Silence descended over the room, thick and suffocating. As all eyes turned toward Rachel and Ryan, the latter squirmed uncomfortably, his grip on Rachel's waist loosening as he attempted to shrink away from the scrutiny. "Don't believe me," I challenged, my voice dripping with disdain. "Allow me to provide some evidence." With a few deft taps on my phone, the audio recording from that fateful day in the dentist's office began to play. Rachel's slurred confessions echoing through the speakers. "I love him and he loves me. We're meant to be together." Gasps and murmurs filled the air as the shocking words reached everyone. Rachel's face turned pale, and her mouth hung open in horror as the truth was revealed to her colleagues. But I wasn't done yet. "And if that's not enough to convince you," I continued ruthlessly, "perhaps these will." With a few more taps, explicit photos and messages appeared on the large screens beside the stage. Undeniable proof of Rachel and Ryan's affair. The room erupted into chaos, with shouts and accusations flying everywhere. Rachel covered her mouth with her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks as the full weight of her actions hit her. Ryan looked like he might be sick, his face turning a sickly green as he tried to slip away from the chaos. "How could you?" A shrill voice cut through the din, and I turned to see a petite woman I recognized as Ryan's wife, Kelly, her eyes brimming with anguished tears. "You lied to me, to all of us." Ryan opened his mouth, perhaps to offer some feeble excuse, but I silenced him with a withering glare. "Save it." I spat, my tone dripping with venom. "You've both made your beds, and now you can lie in them." With those parting words, I turned on my heel and strode from the room, leaving a trail of destruction in my wake. The fallout was swift and merciless. Within hours, both Rachel and Ryan had been unceremoniously terminated from their positions, their reputation in tatters. As for Kelly, the poor woman was devastated by her husband's infidelity. I made sure to provide her with all the evidence she needed to secure a divorce, ensuring that she could sever ties with the man who had so callously betrayed her trust. In the weeks and months that followed, I finalized my own divorce proceedings, officially severing the toxic bond that had once tied me to Rachel. It was a bittersweet victory. While I had emerged from the ashes of our relationship with my dignity intact, the pain of her betrayal still lingered like a dull ache in my chest. But I refused to let that pain define me. With the unwavering support of my children, who had witnessed firsthand the depths of their mother's deceit, I slowly began to rebuild my life, piece by fragile piece. I threw myself into my work, channeling my energy into projects and clients that had once taken a back seat to my fractured marriage. The sense of purpose and accomplishment I derived from my professional endeavors helped to fill the void left by Rachel's absence. In time, I found myself ready to open my heart again. It began slowly with casual dates and friendly outings, but eventually it grew into something deeper. Her name was Emily, and from the moment we met, I was struck by her warmth, integrity, and honesty. With Emily by my side, I rediscovered the joy and fulfillment that Rachel's betrayal had taken from me. We built a life together based on trust, respect, and a strong bond that couldn't be broken by lies. As for Rachel and Ryan, their lives were ruined by the consequences of their actions. They lost their jobs, their reputations, and in Ryan's case, his marriage. The last I heard, they tried to have a relationship, but the weight of their shared guilt and shame was too much for them. I felt no pity, only grim satisfaction that justice had been served. They made their choices and now had to live with the consequences, a fate they brought upon themselves through their selfish actions. As for me, I emerged from my past stronger and wiser. I faced betrayal and overcame it. The journey to recovery was long and hard, but with the love and support of those who cared most, I created a new life built on integrity, honesty, and the hope for a better future. Second story, my fiancée and I have been together for 7 years. We live together and have a 2-year-old and my 8-year-old stepdaughter. Like every relationship, we've had our ups and downs. I liked other girls' pictures and messaged them, and she found out. I cheated emotionally but never physically in our 7 years together. She didn't forgive me, but we never split up. That was in the past, and I've been faithful since then. This past year has been really rocky. She feels alone, and so do I. 2 days ago, I went through her phone and found out she's been talking to another guy for about 3 months. She forgot to delete some of the conversations. She said she did it because of what I did in the past and claimed it wasn't serious. She told me they had been talking for 2 weeks, but it's really been 3 months. I asked the guy, and he also said 2 weeks. They're both lying. I have proof it's been 3 months, and she finally admitted it, but insisted it wasn't serious. They both said they never hung out or talked inappropriately. I don't know what to believe because they both lied. She wants to work on things and supposedly blocked him on everything. I just don't know what to think.